Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another one of our Facebook Live events. My name is Tom. I'm the Associate Director of Communications here in the Office of Admissions. I appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy schedules to spend it with us here on Facebook. I mean, the weather is nice. Not nearly as nice as the event tonight. So I think this is certainly a worthwhile investment of your time if you are considering the Masters of Science in Biology here at Bloomsburg. Clearly, I have a lot of good things to say about it, but you probably don't care what I have to say. So that's why we wanted to make sure we brought in some of our current students from the program so you can hear directly from them. Frankly, their opinion is probably going to be the most important one. So we have a great panel discussion scheduled. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them onto the Facebook post and I will get them to the panelists. The event itself should take probably around 30 minutes and the event will be recorded for later watching as well. But without going any further here, I'm hoping everyone could just go around and introduce themselves. And if you could let us know where you're from, your undergrad degree and where you got from, and then your area of interest in the master's program here at Bloomsburg. And we can actually, before we get to the students, let's start with the man of the hour, Dr. Thomas Klinger, the program coordinator.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. I am the program coordinator for the Master of Science in Biology, and I'm actually the person who coordinates people coming into the program, people moving through the program, people finishing the program and moving out into the world. So I am somebody who works very, very closely with all of our graduate students.
Yep. So Dr. Klinger would likely be your first point of contact should you apply to the program or show any general interest. So he's a face and an email address you want to commit to memory. Caitlin.
Hey everyone, my name is Kate Kelchner. This is my first semester here in the master's program, but I did do my undergraduate degree here as well. And I loved it so much, I just ended up staying on. My main field of interest within this overall program umbrella is bioinformatics and human genetics research.
Bioinformatics. So I know what that is. Clearly I know what that is, but I just want to make sure you know what that is. It is
basically using computational tools and programs to analyze large sets of biological data. So I do it focused with genetics. So I analyze like right now I'm working with a set of variants from 72,000 different people, and I write programs that help me sort through that and find patterns.
Even the explanation was still way over my head. That makes me feel about this big. Thanks, Kate. I appreciate that. No, I think I understood most of that. Okay, great. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate it. Mary.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Bogert, as I suppose you can see. I live in Wilkes-Barre, and I got my bachelor's degree from Keystone College, which is located at about a half an hour past Scranton, Pennsylvania. And my undergraduate is my bachelor's degree is in wildlife biology. While I was in that program, I knew that I wanted to focus more directly on birds, and I decided to attend the master's program at Bloomsburg University, where I am currently studying with Dr. Clay Corbin, working towards learning more about birds and specifically raptors.
So you said raptor. The only raptors I'm familiar with are the ones from Jurassic Park. You're saying that's a bird, or unless there is there another type of bird that I'm not familiar with?
Yeah, raptor is a general term for birds of prey. So right now I'm working with owls. So it could be hawks, owls, turkey vultures, even though they primarily consume carrion, which is, it's primarily their food is already dead, but sometimes they will eat live stuff. But yeah, raptor's just an umbrella term for birds that eat other.
I did not know that. And I promised everyone watching in the audience, this is not just going to be them explaining to me what science is. I won't ask too many of those questions, I promise. But that is very interesting. That's fascinating. Great. Thank you, Mary. Sarah.
Hello, my name is Sarah Buckley. I'm actually still an undergraduate here at Bloomsburg, but I am in the 3+2 program. So I kind of molded my undergraduate and graduate degree. So I'm in my second semester of the graduate program and my last semester of undergrad. And I'm studying natural history, and specifically, I'm looking at environmental education, kind of in a park setting. So putting on like public programs, designing educational materials, things like that.
So you want to be like a modern day Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec. Is that safe to say?
Yes, Tom.
Okay, okay. Those are words that I understand. Okay, I got you. All right, great. Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm from Newcastle, Delaware. I graduated from Bloom with my undergrad this summer in natural history. I'm in my second semester of the master's program, and like Mary, I'm working on studying birds for my research.
Excellent. So how does one get interested in birds and ornithology? Like where is that kind of interest born from?
I'm not really sure. I just was thinking of something I'd like to study, and I've always just really liked birds.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Does that mean, are you like a Philadelphia Eagles fan then, or like your sports teams? Is it just birds then? Baltimore Orioles and well, anything with the bird. All right. I appreciate the consistency. Thank you, Jessica. Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Muller. I got my bachelor's in biology from California University of Pennsylvania, and then I decided to come here to pursue my master's degree. I'm interested in physical activity and weight loss, and specifically the hormonal control of that. So what is giving us the impulse to eat and to feed when we're hungry? What does it look like long term? And then I want to look at how endocannabinoids, so our natural form of like what marijuana binds to, how does that affect your feeding and your physical activity? So I'm doing that in zebrafish.
So, in zebrafish. Okay. So with your undergrad degree, was it in biology or was it in exercise science, or what was your undergrad experience?
It was in biology.
Biology. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Eric. And Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I got my undergrad here at Bloom, and I decided to keep going because I really found a program that I enjoyed quite a lot and wanted to keep it going. So I work with Dr. John Horanitz, and we study evolution and the morphology of traits in carpenter bees on Lesbos Island in Greece.
Oh,
and yeah, so I'm from Northern PA, but I came down here a few years ago to continue my degree. I'm actually a non-traditional student.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. And for those of you watching on Facebook, sorry, Jacqueline's having some technical issues, so you can't see her video, but she is participating in the panel discussion tonight. But so that is our panel. Thank you, everybody, for the introduction. So I was going to jump right in into the questions here. My first question is, how did you decide to apply to the Masters of Science in Bio program? Right, I'm sure you had options. You probably were evaluating a lot of different programs out there. What was the genesis of you coming to this program? We can start with Caitlin.
So for me, the main reason that I wanted to come here was for the research opportunity. So I was able to work with Professor Dr. Harris in my undergraduate degree to do some medical genomics research. And I found that I loved the project so much, and I loved that what we were doing, and there was an open space for a grad student in our lab. So I ended up just staying on. This is actually the only school that I applied to because I knew I wanted to go here.
That was a good answer. We appreciate that. And for those of you interested in that topic of medical genomics, I know Dr. Harris had done a sample class lecture on that subject, which was unbelievably fascinating. So we have that recording available. If you're interested, just let me know. We'd be happy to forward that to you. But great. Thank you, Caitlin. Mary.
So when I was looking for programs, I wanted to go somewhere where I would be allowed to given more freedom basically for my own type of research that I wanted to do, specifically because I wanted to work with raptors, and most programs do only work with songbirds. So I realized that by coming to Bloomsburg University, I was going to be given that opportunity to basically do what I wanted to do.
Sure, yeah. Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. Sarah.
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm still an undergraduate student, and the main reason I chose to continue on into the grad program was what we have here is the 3+2 biology and MS program, which is really unique. Not many schools have it. So 3+2 is you take 3 years of your undergraduate, and then your senior year of undergraduate, you begin taking graduate courses.
Okay.
Those graduate courses can count towards both your undergrad and graduate degrees,
Mhm.
which is really nice. And so that's your 4th year. Then at the end of your 4th year, like I'm about to get my bachelor's here from Bloomsburg. And then I'll just stick around for 1 more year to finish up the 2nd year of grad school. So instead of doing 6 years, you can condense it down to 5. So that was really attractive to me, especially because I was able to get my major requirements done in 3 years. So I had the space, and I was like, well, why not just start working towards the graduate program? And it was laid out very nicely. And I think it's really cool that we have that opportunity.
It is very cool. Yeah. And hey, I mean, time equals money, especially when you're talking about college and higher education. So if you can cut a year off of that, off of that experience, and don't get me wrong, you're going to be busy for those 5 years because you're cramming, 6 years of work into 5. It is advantageous in a lot of different ways. And Dr. Klinger, do we have a lot of students that go the route of 3+2? Do we see a lot of applicants for that program?
We actually do have quite a few. This is a relatively new program. We only instituted a few years ago, but it has been growing exponentially, where we now have students that actually come in as freshmen saying, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I can see that I can take this right to the end.
Yeah. And so that program is pretty unique compared to some of the other programs that are out there.
Yes. Yeah. We have, not only the 3+2 program is unique, but also the fact that you can spend it in a variety of different ways. We have, ecology and field biology. We've got natural history. We've got medical research, and we have students coming in from all of those directions to tie into the graduate program.
And that's a good point to make too, because honestly, just from like at a cursory glance, you would look at this and say, all right, well, my biology class in college or my biology class in high school was, essentially human biology. This program it sounds like you'll get both breadth and depth, right? So essentially it's almost like a la carte, right? So you can study the subjects in biology that you are interested in. And at this point in your academic career, you should be able to do that, right? You want to be able to do that. And Bloomsburg does a really good job of kind of putting that on the silver platter and making it digestible, I guess. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even as far as available to be able to specialize in so many different areas is a real treat for us at Bloomsburg to say that we have got everything a biologist could be. We've got that here.
Right. And Dr. Klinger, in your presentation during our grad program highlight on this degree was that essentially the master's degree in biology is the degree of record almost, right? So if you want to be a practicing biologist, scientist of any sort, this is kind of the minimum, right? Or this is, maybe not the minimum, but this is the expectation moving forward.
Yeah. It is the degree that will open the doors. Yeah. That will allow you to progress in a any kind of a scientific field.
Sure.
So yeah.
Great. Thank you. Eric.
So I decided to join from a referral from one of the other graduate students here that I went to undergrad with. And he said that he was really enjoying the program here. He really liked all of the people. He really liked all the professors. He had tons of freedom to, come up with his own plan rather than just kind of jumping in on somebody else's project. He was able to come up with his whole own project and just work with the professors to make that happen. And then I really like having a very broad knowledge. So, taking a mix of ecology and cellular and molecular and biochemistry classes. I like to get the whole scope because everything's interconnected. And this program offers that. So
great. All right. Thank you, Eric. And Jessica.
I was in a very similar position to Kate. I had been doing research in a lab for about 3 years in my undergrad, and I didn't want to stop. I really liked what I was doing. So signing up for the master's program allowed me to grow my project to a lot more than I would just be able to do in my undergrad career.
And what project are you referring to here?
I've been doing work on birds and their feeding ecology for a while. So
Mhm.
this allowed me to make it master's level rather than just an undergrad level project.
Sure. Great. Thank you, Jessica. And Jacqueline.
So when I came back to school to finish my degree, I was kind of all over the place and really know what I wanted to focus on. And I really found a good spot for myself when I volunteered in one of the other graduate students lab.
Mhm.
And I spent time with them and just kind of heard about the program through them, what they were going through. I was firsthand experience seeing what they were doing, and
Sure.
really started to do my own research as an undergrad, like the other grad students said. And I didn't want it to stop. It wasn't really another option for me.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like, I knew the professors. I had a really close knit relationship with my now major professor, and we created a project and I wanted to keep going.
Sure. Great. All right. Thank you. So you both have had, obviously a wealth of experience at the undergrad and graduate level. What were some of the biggest changes or the biggest differences between an undergraduate level study of biology and a graduate level study of biology? Caitlin.
For me, honestly, one of the biggest differences is the time. In undergrad, you take 5 classes, and I had to squeeze all my research in around that. And I often found that I didn't have the time to dedicate to it the amount that I wanted to, because research it's my end game, that's what I want to do. And so I found so far in the master's program, I take 2 classes. So the rest of the time I get to do work for the graduate assistantship, and I get to do research.
Okay.
And to me, it feels like I have a lot more freedom to really hone my experience to what I like. So I've been able to do a lot more with research. I get to mentor undergrads. There's just a lot more variety of things that you get to do instead of always cramming for exams.
Right. And it seems like you're able to almost kind of like streamline the things you liked about undergrad, right? So instead of taking, when you get a bachelor's degree, you're taking a selection of general education courses, and even you're taking some more general classes that are a part of your major. But when you get to your graduate level study, you're, probably just taking the courses that you find interesting and are going to be a part of your career moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. You're probably not going to catch me in a philosophy class at this point.
Although we respect philosophers and their contribution.
I respect them so much. I'm glad someone does it, and I'm glad it doesn't have to be me.
Yes, that's understandable. Yes, great. Thank you, Kate. Mary.
I think basically what Caitlin said, it's the same for me, where you're just able to streamline so much more what your interests are as compared to your undergrad program. I don't think I could really elaborate much more than she did.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Perfect. Yes. Perfect. Great. Thank you, Mary. Sarah.
You can actually go on, Mary, and say that, if there's not a class available for you, they'll make one.
Oh, yeah. Actually, when we were signing up for classes for the semester that's currently going on, I wasn't particularly happy with the classes. I just didn't feel like they were a great fit for me and me moving forward in my career. So I reached out to Dr. Klinger, and I asked him if there was a possibility that if any other classes might be added. And he said, well, there's something that I've been working on and trying to get into the mix of classes for some time now, but if you'd like to kind of be our test pilot for this internship through the Pennsylvania Master Nationalists, which is a program that teaches civilian level about their local forestry and soils and whatnot. So he went ahead and rushed this program ahead so that I could start this internship. So it's an internship, but it's also my class. So he went out of his way to do that because I wasn't really happy with all the classes that were being offered. So that was really fantastic of him.
It's almost like the degree is like a blank canvas, where you can kind of turn it into what you want. Yep. Sarah.
So I can speak a little more to the classes themselves because I'm, like I mentioned, I'm still an undergrad, so I'm still taking about 4 classes. But the classes themselves, I feel like you get a lot more up close and personal with the material. You go a lot more in depth. There's, what was I going to say? They do a thing called kind of course embedded research. So most classes, you just, you go and you sit in your lecture, you watch and you take notes, and then that's it. But with the grad classes, you do your own research projects within the class, like for a grade. So you're getting research experience. And what's really cool is you can, again, tailor it to you. So like last semester, I took a limnology class, which is the study of like lakes and rivers and like basically just inland waters. Basically waters that aren't the ocean.
Okay.
So, and he said, you just have to do a project by the end of the semester. And it could be literally anything you wanted. And it was really cool because I got to tailor it to environmental education. And I never thought I would be able to do that in like this research limnology class. But I worked with my professor and I was able to create like an environmental education pamphlet teaching kids about algae, like different types of
wow.
So that was, and it was exactly like, that's the things that I want to do. And I would have never thought that I could do that.
Yeah, that's a great example. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Eric.
So for me, what I really like about the master's program over undergrad is that in undergrad, you're more of just kind of like one of the masses, and with this, you have a lot more responsibility, but that also comes with a lot more freedom. So the professors, they just kind of assume that you are going to be able to do what you need to get done, and that, you'll do a good work. So it's been really motivating for me to, be harder working and, put in more time and put in more effort so that I am really learning the material and I am making like a fully polished, whatever it is, like a homework assignment or a paper, that I'm doing really well at it, because that's just, what's expected of me, rather than, just being some other person that, they don't know.
Right. And also I would imagine, you're probably going to take more pride in your work because these are subjects that you are directly interested in. If you are tangentially interested in some of these things and you're doing it as part of a project you have to submit for a class that you're, only a little bit interested in, you might not take as much pride in it. Whereas in a project like this, where this is exactly what you want to do, and it's really easy to connect the dots between what you're doing in class and what you're going to, and how you're going to apply this in your career, you're going to take it more serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And it definitely helps with the research too.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Jessica.
What I'm really liking about the grad classes over the undergrad is that I felt like in my undergrad classes that was learn the base knowledge, and now in grad classes you can narrow it down and apply it to what you're really interested in. So like I took a zoology class, and then in the fall I'll take an evolutionary biology class. So I can really tailor it to fit my research interests and use it to help me move on with my education and research. And it's just, you're allowed to narrow it down a lot more to just what you're interested in.
Like a concentrated dose of what you already like. Perfect. Jacqueline.
So I totally agree with what Eric said. I feel like there's so much more responsibility on my plate, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like the professors sort of look at me as one of their future peers, one of their future colleagues, and it's really a good feeling. It's not like you're just kind of like an undergrad and they're like your superior. It's sort of like, hey, you're allowed to make this media now. You can make this. You can use the autoclave. You can do this stuff that you can do as an actual scientist, and we know you're capable of it. And they put trust in you, and they sort of talk to you as an adult and as a scientist, really. And your classes are like take-home exams that you can really put a lot of effort and focus in and learn from. It's not really like as streamlined or basic anymore.
Yeah, it seems like, and Dr. Klinger, I've heard you mention this before, that in this program, you're not just going to learn about science, you're going to do science. It's a verb here, not just a noun. And that's going to make your experience so much more enjoyable because you're doing hands-on things specifically about topics that you yourself love. All right, great. Thank you. So far, what has everybody's favorite class been? Kate. And let me, before anyone even says anything, I'm assuming if Dr. Klinger is teaching one of your classes,
Well,
the
it'd be
correct
mine,
answer
yeah.
is to say whatever it is he's teaching, just so you know, because he is in control of your grades. But I
Well,
digress.
well, I have not had the pleasure of having a class with Dr. Klinger yet, so I am going to say that my favorite class was definitely medical genomics.
Okay.
That's probably a given for anyone that knows me because it was taught by my major professor, and it is exactly what I want to do for a career. I took it as an undergraduate, but it's open to both graduate and undergraduate students. And I just love the material. I love that we got to have interesting class discussions. We had a final project that I ended up making an educational children's book for. It was just, it was so much fun. It didn't really feel like learning exactly.
Right. And this is with Dr. Hare Harris,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Yep. She was a very cool person. Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Kate. Mary.
My favorite class so far has been animal behavior.
Okay.
A lot of the class, was about birds, so that was a big bonus for me. But as like I had mentioned earlier, my undergrad is in wildlife biology, so I'm interested in all animals, and it was very fascinating to see the different behaviors across the whole animal kingdom and the intelligence that animals have shown. And it's so impressive to me, the many different, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so amazing to me, the different behaviors from the wildlife kingdom.
Yeah, hard to put into words.
Yeah.
Sure. Sarah.
So I'm also like Kate, going to cheat a little bit. So I took this class as an undergrad, but we're trying very, very hard, and I'm pushing very, very hard to get this as a grad course. I took a museum methods class.
Oh, wow.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
I was with Dr. Gishlik in the geology and geography department. We learned all about museum collections, like how you take care of the collections.
Okay.
Different ways to preserve things, how to package things, how to like things you wouldn't even think of. And it was pretty much all hands-on. It was so much fun. I really want it as a grad class, like Museum Methods 2.0. It's really, really great.
So I've seen Night at the Museum. How far off is, have I learned anything by watching the movie, or is that the kind of subject that's taught in the
collections? There are a lot more, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than you would ever think. Even things like computer programming, like when you catalog all the items, like that's a whole thing you don't even think about. But yeah, it's a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Eric.
So I've really been enjoying my animal cell physiology course that I'm currently in. It's just a really good deep dive into like not only the topics in the the ideas behind everything, but also the method. So okay, well, you see that we have this, so how would you design an experiment to find that? So that's how all of the exams and all of the assignments and projects are formulated. So that's been really good. It's very mentally stimulating, I'd say.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Jessica.
My favorite class that I've done so far was probably the vertebrate zoology class we have. It was a lot more about prehistoric animals and more of the origins of the different animal life we see now.
Okay.
So it was great to get like a background knowledge, like, oh, that's why this animal does this or why things look like this. I just thought it was very interesting to see where all the animals we see now, where they came from and sort of why they are how they are.
Yeah, the origin story. Great. Thank you, Jessica. Jacqueline.
So I had the absolute pleasure of taking evolution with our now retired Professor Emeritus, Dr. Chimuris. I believe that was in fall of 2019. And that was just such an eye-opening class for me. It was really small. It was really intimate of a class, and it really applied all of the basics of biology and more. Genetics, it took into physiology, and it put it forward. And it actually was the turning point in my educational career and really drove what I wanted to do and why I developed this project that I'm working on now.
Yeah, great, excellent. And Dr. Klinger, last but not least, what is your favorite class to teach?
It is marine invertebrates. It is by far my favorite one to do.
Are those marine invertebrates we see behind you on the poster?
those are marine invertebrates behind me on the poster. My son actually picked that up for me in Paris and dragged it home in a backpack for me.
Okay, so what I would call those are seashells. Okay, they appear to be seashells of sorts. Okay, great, thank you. So everybody is, you can do a lot with this degree, and it seemed to be, with the exception of a few future ornithologists, everyone seems to be going in different directions. What is your dream job, Kate?
Okay, well, it's kind of a lofty dream, but
Hey,
my
aim
dream
high.
job- yeah, my dream job is that I would absolutely love to do genetics research for the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda,
Okay.
Maryland. That is what I want to do, and that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
I would go on to get a PhD after this, most likely.
Okay. So are we considering PhD programs?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, excellent. Is Dr. Klinger, your advisors, are they helping you in route
Oh,
to
gosh, so much. Yeah.
Okay, good.
They answer questions before I even know that I have them.
Yes.
So
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. All right. They can also read minds. It's impressive. Dr.
it is
Kelchner does have
impressive.
Dr. Kelchner has a nice ring to it. It's got
Yes,
a nice
it
ring
does.
to
It
it.
still sounds like my father, but I'll get used to it.
Great. Mary.
Didn't want to unmute. I did not discover until I reached the master's program how much I like to teach. It was just something that I thought I would be terrified to do, but once I got into the labs and started working with the students and seeing their faces light up when you would teach them about different science topics, I realized that I just absolutely loved it. But at the same time, I also love research. I love being out in the field. So
Right.
I've decided that I want to continue my education and get a PhD and
Okay.
then return to academia where I can teach students and then also do research.
And by academia, you mean Bloomsburg University, right?
Well,
Well,
there you go.
I'm already hired, right, Dr. Klinger?
Yeah.
well, absolutely.
Dr.
But we will just keep increasing your stipend there.
There we go. There we go. See, we already have it figured out. Dr. Boger, associate professor. All right, great.
Yeah,
Sarah.
So my dream, I guess, isn't as grand as Kate's. I'm even a little smaller, but as of right now, my dream is to become an environmental education specialist in our
Sure.
state parks. Basically, like Mary said, I absolutely love teaching people,
Yeah.
especially children. I have a lot of experience teaching kids about the
Yeah.
environment, and like she said, I just absolutely love seeing their faces light up when they learn new things, like this is what this tree is, and
Right.
it's so cool. So yeah, I want to teach people, but in the woods.
Teach people, but in the woods. All right. So if there was one national park that you could work for, you only get one, what would it be?
Rocky Mountain National Park.
Rocky Mountain. Okay.
Nice
It's a good
one.
choice. I have no frame of reference to compare it to, but I'm assuming that's a good one. Okay.
Yes, it
Nice.
is gorgeous.
You've chosen well. Okay. Great. Thank you, Sarah. Eric.
So I'm with Mary. I definitely want to go and get my PhD and teach. It just seems like such a good opportunity.
Yeah. Dr. Klinger, how many positions do we have available here at this point? Where we have to make room for 2 by my count.
Yep. We will find places for them. Yeah, absolutely. And
And-
actually, if you know the faculty here, you'd be surprised at how many boomerangs we have. People who went out into the world.
Yep.
And came back.
Made it right back. And Dr. Klinger, for your grad students who are interested in pursuing a doctorate degree after they finish the master's program, what kind of experiences would they have en route to the PhD program? How would faculty help prepare them for the next step in their education?
Well, because we have such a diverse, rich research experience,
Mhm.
they've got a leg up already going
Sure.
for a PhD program where they say,
Mhm.
you have already proven that you can do research. Now
Mhm.
we're just going to scale it up. But
Sure.
all the faculty are, active in their field, so they know who's doing what, where. So as I get to know my students, I go, okay, you're interested in this. You
Mhm.
want to work with Smith out in Berkeley. Let's
Mhm.
go out and reach out to him to
Sure.
see if he's got a space for you. And so,
Where are some of our alumni gone on to complete their PhD?
oh, they have gone on to the University of California. They've gone on to the University of Leeds in London.
Oh,
They
okay.
have gone on to Rutgers.
Yep.
They have gone on to the University of Alabama. They've gone on
Okay.
to the University of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone on to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
They have gone on to the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that we have got lots and lots of people who have gone
Yeah.
through a variety of different programs.
Yeah. Good track record, sounds like.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
And one of the things I counsel the students is that you find the person you want to work with.
Right.
And if they're in North Dakota, you go to North Dakota.
Right. Right. Yep. Great. Thank you. Jessica.
I'm not too sure if I want to do a PhD just yet, but I know my dream job would be to work with the Department of Fish and Wildlife or either the National Park Service, doing
Okay.
something with either ornithology or wildlife biology research there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good answer. Great. Thank you. Jacqueline.
So I'm still tossing around the idea of a PhD. I'm
Okay.
not there yet. And I'm also not sold on the idea of teaching, but I would really love to be a molecular ecologist and
Mhm.
apply evolutionary studies and research to conservation of really endangered species,
Mhm.
such as like the frozen zoo, where
Mhm.
they will take samples from endangered animals and they will freeze them and preserve the genetic heritability.
Mhm.
So I'd really love to get into that field. So I'm still tossing around the idea. I feel like the more you go up in science, the less you know what you'd like to do because there's so
Yeah.
many options.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yes. Yes. It's a good problem to have, having options, but at some point in time, you do have to make a decision. Yeah, I understand how you feel. I understand. So can everyone maybe list a favorite lab experiment, field experience, something that you've done hands-on? I'm sure you have a wealth of these, but can you pick out one in particular that was your favorite? And Kate, I see you thinking hard. Can you narrow it down to just one?
Oh, gosh. Well, I guess the project that I'm doing right now for my thesis, where I get to work with these just massive sets of data and make them tell me the information that I want out of them with computers,
Sure.
is really cool, because had you asked me even 2 years ago, I would never have thought that I would understand what I was doing enough to
Mhm.
even do part of what I've already accomplished.
Mhm.
And then I guess if we're talking about just like one experience, writing that children's book in medical genomics was really, really great. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's a cool project. Great. All right, thanks, Kate. Mary.
For me, it's again absolutely my thesis research because
Mhm.
I'm out in the field and I'm banding northern saw-whet owls.
Okay.
So we're catching them in special nets that are, I like to call them fishing nets, but they're kind
Okay.
of in the air instead of in the water.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
we draw the owls in with acoustic sounds and they
Okay.
come in, we catch them, I band them, and I take all
Mhm.
these different morphological measurements from them.
Sure.
And it's just, I absolutely love it.
So the acoustic sounds, you're pulling them in like with what, like Dave Matthews Band, John Mayer, or
That's
what's?
one of their favorites. No, actually, what we're doing, I have right now. I have two. Well, I'm sorry. When I was doing my research in the fall, I
Mhm.
have one site that has a female owl call, and the other site has a male owl call. And
Mhm.
so when they're flying through and they're migrating down south, they are interested in what the sound is, and why
Mhm.
is this? Well, we're assuming it's why is my opposite sex making this noise, and they come down to investigate, and that's when they get caught in
Sure.
the net.
Mhm. Great. Very interesting. Thank you, Mary. Sarah.
If I had to pick my favorite, would be the internship I'm working on right now.
Okay.
Mary mentioned it earlier. I'm also an intern with the PA Master Naturalists.
Mhm.
My side of the project, though, is more tailored to what I want to do in my thesis and will
Mhm.
morph into my thesis, which is designing an environmental education curriculum for middle
Mhm.
schools. So we really want to implement curriculum into the school year
Yeah.
to teach kids about the environment instead of,
Mhm.
because a lot of people have summer camps during the summer, but not all kids can do that. And in middle school, a lot of
Mhm.
kids, they're hanging out inside more. They're not out in nature as much. And so we
Mhm.
really want to try and reach those kids. So I'll be helping develop this from the ground up. So hopefully
Mhm.
in schools all across the state at some point. we'll get to do that.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Sarah. Eric.
So my favorite would probably have to be this technique called immunohistochemistry, where you label proteins with an antibody tag, and then you can visualize it under the microscope. And to me, it's just really cool when you're looking at like, oh, well, is a protein being expressed more or less, or in this part of the tissue, you can actually visually see it. And you're like, oh, look, it's blue along the tip in this one, but it's like blue everywhere in this other one. I just think that's really cool. Anything
Very
with
cool.
It's fun.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eric. Jessica.
So I actually did this in my undergrad, but it was actually a side project on top of a previous grad student's project. So she was studying tree swallows, and I went out with her all summer, I think 2 years ago, and filmed hundreds and hundreds of hours of tree swallows feeding. And I used that to kind of understand the feeding behavior of the birds during different stages of the chick's development.
So you're in the woods for hundreds of hours filming
The cameras
birds.
are.
The cameras are. Okay.
Yeah, we put
For a reason, what I
cameras
was thinking was you in the woods, camo head to toe with an iPhone on the birds. That's okay. That's good to know. That makes a little more sense. I was going to say, you don't have time for that. Okay. Jacqueline.
So if I ever get to Greece in my graduate career, that will probably be my favorite experiment, catching bees over there. But actually, I worked on the same project that Jessica did with tree swallows, but I developed my own project from it, and I drew blood from the birds, and I processed the DNA, and then I sequenced the DNA. I ran like PCR on them, and then I sent them out for sequencing, and then just having that whole picture of it, and having the DNA processed, doing the PCR, sending it out, getting it back, and then just running that code and seeing it was a tree swallow. It was just like it came full circle, and I could actually see like real science in front of me, and I saw the whole project through.
Very cool. Yeah, it sounds like a great project. So I have one final question for the group here tonight. What has the biology community at the grad level been like? And what I mean is, what has the interaction been like with fellow students in the program? What is it like being a GA? What has your experience been like in working with the faculty members? Just what's like the social fabric like of the grad program? Kate.
Well, I mean, this is my first semester, and this isn't a normal semester, as we all know.
That is true.
So I am looking forward to seeing these lovely people in person, hopefully in the fall.
And we will be in person in the fall.
Yes. But even so, I think we still have a really good sense of community. I know I can always ask people for any help if I need it, either if that's with my research or a class or anything. The previous grad student that was in my lab still checks to see how the project's going, how I'm doing, and stuff like that. And being a GA is great. Like this is the first job that has never really felt like work to me. I enjoy everything that we do every day. The other day, I was just telling my major professor, when did my life get cool? So overall, it's a really great experience, and I'm really lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, life as a biologist, I mean, it's very rock and roll, it always has been, right? Great, thanks, Kate. Mary.
Yeah, even with COVID, it does make it difficult to get to know everyone. But I feel that even with that being in our way, we've still found a way as graduate students that we are able to communicate with one another whenever we want to. We're here to support each other. And even with COVID, we still collaborate on each other's projects in a safe way. And even the professors, we don't have as much interaction with all the professors that we would were it not for COVID, but the professors that we do get to interact with, they're still very supportive. Professors that I maybe just met this semester, I know I could come to them for anything. I feel that COVID hasn't stopped us from being still like a family at BU.
Right. Even the most difficult of circumstances, it's still been easy to work with the people in this community. Yes. Yeah, great. Thank you, Mary. Sarah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a family is a really good word for it. I feel like we all know each other. Like all of us here, I think I speak for everyone. I think we all know each other. You've had at least one class with pretty much everybody. And also, like Mary was saying with the faculty, they just want nothing but to see you succeed. They will do everything in their power to see you succeed. I know a lot of other institutions, their main focus is research, and they don't really like care as much about their students, but the faculty are invested in us and will do everything they can to be there for us.
Sure. Yeah, great answer. Thank you, Sarah. Eric.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a small group, and we're all nerdy biologists, so we all really.
Now hold on. Now we just got done
Together
talking
well
about how
better.
biology is a rock star
rock and roll.
vocation.
Yeah. We're all very cool cats.
Yeah.
So we're all, everybody gets along super well, and all of the professors are very nice and they're very helpful. Yeah, I've absolutely loved it.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Eric. Jessica.
Even though I haven't actually met a lot of the grad students in person, I feel like we're all still very supportive of each other. We help each other with group projects. We talk before and after class in the Zoom rooms and our GA meeting every week. Even though I feel like I haven't actually met these people, like we still talk, and it's just a very great group to be a part of. It's small, it's close knit. So I feel like we don't actually, once we do actually meet, we'll get along pretty well.
Yeah, they'll feel like familiar friends.
Yeah, it's like everything's already established.
Right. Great. Thank you, Jessica. And Jacqueline.
Yeah, so I agree with what everyone just said. Is I started, most of the other people had already been graduate students and GAs, and I didn't know anyone, but as soon as I got added to the group chat, people just talked to me like I was there, or they knew me, but I had literally never met any of them before. So I feel very supportive. I feel very backed by the faculty, especially. I feel a lot better in my choice to stay here because I know the professors and and they know me and still support me and are very happy to see me succeed.
Sure. Well, great. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. That was all we have for the panel discussion. I will put out the recording with timestamps and topics here a little later in the week. If anybody has any questions about the grad program, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Klinger. Yep, he'd be more than happy to field any questions about the program. And if you are interested, the other piece that I would recommend taking a look at would be the graduate program highlight, where Dr. Klinger spoke pretty directly and in depth about, the coursework and career options and research examples and a little more granular view of what you might do in the program itself. That's available on the video section of the Graduate Admissions Facebook page. Look forward to hearing from everybody in the future, and have a great night.